Let's talk now to Amy Tarkanian, Republican strategist, the former chair of the Nevada Republican Party. Amy, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Quite a busy weekend for Donald Trump. I mean, he doesn't seem to stop. I don't know when he sleeps. I mean, every single day he seems to be doing something kind of quite big. For example, yesterday during a game of golf, he managed to completely turn around the Colombian president's foreign policy on migrants in the space of about 45 minutes. And then he managed to get a phone call in with Keir Starmer as well. That's just two things that he did in a very busy weekend.
Correct. And it seems to be not just daily, but it's literally, as you just relayed, minute by minute, where he is making some pretty drastic changes. And they're ones that the American public is grateful for. During his first term, I think he learned a very hard lesson when he campaigned on draining the swamp, found out how difficult that actually was, and was surrounded by people who were, basically halting and stopping him at every turn. And so he came in extremely prepared, along with his cabinet nominees. They made sure to do their due diligence to try to sell themselves to the Senate and make sure that he had his executive actions ready to go within the first hour of him taking the oath of office. So this is a man who is going to be extremely aggressive, as we are already witnessing, on every avenue, whether it be national security, international or domestic, whether it be with the economy, and as you just mentioned, whether it be with other world leaders on making sure that he truly means America first, and that we are no longer being taken advantage of.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are in any doubt about that, because he really is absolutely pushing through with everything that he promised to do, which is so refreshing to see when you've got an actual politician that does what he said he would do. He's also been quite amusing. He's been crisscrossing the country, ended up in Vegas at one point over the weekend. Let's have a look at what he had to say about Joe Biden.
And I walked up the stairs of that massive plane that's waiting for me, that big 747, and I said, there's no way I'm going to let myself fall, because that was one hell of a... That triple fall was a disaster. I would call that a political disaster. You can fall once, you can fall twice, but you can't fall three times. You can't fall three times. What a disaster. I've used that in every ad I think I ever did.
I mean, he's got a point, doesn't he? You know, you can fall once, you can fall twice, but that really did contribute massively to people's just kind of lack of faith in Joe Biden and his ability to do anything.
Sure, and historically left-leaning entertainment shows like Saturday Night Live also recently poked fun at him and showed old video footage of him falling off of his bicycle.
Yeah. Well, some of us have been doing that for a while, but I mean,
right.
it's only now that the Democrats are able to be critical of him, because for so many years they pretended it wasn't happening.
Right, which is unfortunate, because it really did not just Americans a disservice, but the world. And we all were clearly seeing a man fall apart before our very eyes,
yeah,
which was not okay, despite your party affiliation. And they continued to lie about him, and it was very unhealthy. But
I think so. I mean, do you think the American psyche has recovered from that, or do you think the American sort of political system has recovered from that to the point where they actually realized that it was a bad idea to cover up for it?
I think people were disgusted and angry, and rightfully so. You want to have the leader of your nation and the leader of the free world be someone who is of sound, mind and body, and somebody who is going to have your back and make sure that he is clear and ready to go at every given moment. And that clearly was not what was happening. And we all know that now. And so I think we have every right to be angry.
Absolutely right. Also, here's another one, another clip of Trump. It's also talking in Las Vegas at the rally about Joe Biden.
Our country was on the verge of some of the very bad things, and bad things were happening. And now there's light not only over America. I've heard it from even our enemies. They call up and they say, sir, we hate you. We do hate you, but there's light over the world right now. They hate me. Some of them hate me. If they liked me, you got a problem, right? They like Sleepy Joe. What's not to like? You know, they'd call up. It's funny. I was told today by one of the big leaders of the world would call for a telephone call with the President of the United States a year ago. And they'd say, we'd like to speak with, who is this? It's the head of Germany, the head of, name it, the head of France, the name of any country, it didn't matter. He would never pick up the call. They'd say, he'll call you back in 2 months. 2 months. He has his schedule. He's extremely busy sleeping. You know, Macron of France, he'll call you back in 2 months. So 2 months comes along and there's no call. They say, he didn't call. The stories are, I mean, these stories are not very exaggerated. I want to tell you, they're a little bit for laughter, but, you know, it's only for laughter. The fake news will say, oh, he exaggerated. It was only 1 month, you know.
I mean, he's got quite a talent for comedy, hasn't he? I mean, which we're now seeing, and I've said this earlier on in the show today, that he's a much more relaxed individual than he was back in 2016, and he's much more kind of, just much more easy to look at. He's funnier.
Well, it's a lot easier to be a little bit more jovial and lighthearted when you have the Republicans in charge of the Senate, the House, and now you also oversee the executive branch.
Yeah.
So he's going to be able to push through his agenda. It's still not going to be easy, but it's going to be a lot better than his first term. So he has every right to be smiling. And I believe him. I don't think that actually truly was a joke. I believe that that's actually what happened. You know, I hate to quote Putin, but Russia's President Putin actually said it before, that Biden was predictable and Donald Trump is unpredictable. And that's something that I think is going to benefit this incoming administration. As crazy as many people may find him, it's good to keep the world on their toes.
Yeah, absolutely right. So what's he going to do this week? I mean, you know, it's a bit like that question at the end of the Super Bowl, isn't it? I think I'll go to Disneyland. You know, it's like,
Right.
He's only been in a week. He's done quite a lot.
Yes, he has. And I think the fact that it's actually a breath of fresh air. Is he going to be able to get everything accomplished that he throws out there, especially some of his executive actions that are a little bit more controversial, like ending birthright citizenship, you know, focusing heavy on the south and northern borders in the way that he is by setting military. You know, he's going to be found with a number of legal battles. But the fact is, as you mentioned at the top, he campaigned on these promises, and he's putting them all out there. How they will end will be left to be seen.
Absolutely right. He certainly seems to be cutting into the illegal migrant business, that's for sure, if what happened in Colombia yesterday is anything to go by. We'll come back to you, I'm sure, soon. Amy, thank you very much indeed. Amy Tarkanian, Republican strategist, former chair of the Nevada Republican Party.